Hello everyone, how are you doing? This is part 12 of the inventory tutorial series that I'm doing in this channel, and in this part we're going to finally create the collect functionality. So as you can see here we have items, and if I press tab on the keyboard, the inventory is empty, but now we can collect all these items. So let's collect the shield here, the apple, the banana. So you can see this working, and the sword like this. And if I press tab now, if I open the inventory has all the items that we collected. And as you can see, the shield and sword is not stackable, so each time that I collect one, this is going to be in an empty slot, but the apple and banana is stackable, so these are going to be in the same slot, as you can see. So we are basically increasing the stack. So as you can see, we have 4 in the apple here, but if I get one more, now we have 5. The same thing for the banana, so now we have 5 banana here. But if I get the shield and the sword, this is going to be in an empty slot, as you can see. So this system is working, and this is what we will do in this video. But before, if you do like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. That helps me a lot. And without further ado, let's start. Okay, so first we need to create a function on the player's interface so we can add the item. So for that, let's go to Blueprints, Interfaces, and let's open the BPI player. So let's open this and let's create a new function. So just click on this add button here in my blueprints. Let's add a function, and I will name this function add item to inventory, something like this. And this function will need 2 inputs. So let's add one here. The first one will be the item ID to add. So let's name this item ID to add. And of course, this needs to be a name. So let's change the type to name. And let's add one more input. And this one will be the amount to add. So let's name this amount to add, something like this. And of course, the type is integer, like this. And we need one output as well. So here in the outputs, let's add 1. And this will be the items added, like this. And of course, this needs to be an integer as well. So now let's compile and save, and let's implement this function on the player's blueprint. For that, let's go to the folders and let's go to Blueprints, Bases, Main, Characters, and let's open the BP main character. Let's open this, and here, as you may remember, we added the interface. So if we go here to interfaces, we have the functions and we have the add item to inventory. Let's double click on this so we can implement this function. And as you can see, we have the inputs and the output. So now we just need to call the add item on the inventory component. So let's get a reference to the BBC inventory. Let's get this. And from this function, from this reference, actually, we can call the function add item. So just drag here and type add item like this, and we have this function, the call function add item. So let's call this. Let's connect the execution pin here, and of course connect in the output as well in the return node. And we need to connect the inputs of this function here, of this add item function. And of course, it is this one. So the item to add is the item to add, and amount to add in the amount to add. And here, this function outputs the items added. So we need to return this in this interface as well. So let's just connect this here. And there we go. Now we have an interface in the player that we can call from anywhere else to add an item. So now we just need to implement the interaction function on the items itself. So let's do this now. Okay, so to do this, we need to implement the interact function on each collectible item. But first, of course, we need to create the interact function. So to do this, let's go back to the folders. Let's go to Blueprints, Interfaces, And here we have the BPI interactable. So as you may remember, each collectible item has this interface. So let's open this interface, the BPI interactable, and here as you can see we have the get interaction message. So we need to create a new function here. So let's click on add function, and I will name this function interact like this. And we don't need to pass anything here. We don't need any inputs or outputs. We just need to define this function. So let's compile and save. And now that we have this function, let's implement the interact function on the interactable component. So let's go back to the folders. Let's go to blueprints, components, and as you may remember, we have the BPC interaction. So let's open this component, and here we need to create a function. So let's click on this plus icon here on the functions, and let's name this interact, something like this. Let's compile and save, and let's implement this function. This will be really simple because of course we already did everything that we need here. So we have we get the camera, we are setting the time here for the look function, and if we open the look function, in this function we are getting the current interactable actor. As you can see here, we are setting this variable with the actor that we are trying to interact, right? So because we already have this here in the interact function, we just need to call the interact here in the interface. So let me show you. Let's get a reference to this current interactable actor like this, and first let's convert this to a validated get. So right click on the variable and click on convert to validated get, right? So we make sure that this is valid. This is a valid reference. So let's connect here the execution pin, and if this is valid, we need to call the interact function on the interface. So to do this, we need to call from this actor. So just drag a reference to this here and type interact like this, and we have the BPI interactable interface interact function here, this one with this message. So just click on this, and there we go. This is basically it. This is all we need to do here. So now we just need to call this function when we press the E key on the keyboard. So let's do this now. Okay, so to call this function, first we need to create the input for the interaction. So let's go back to the folders. Let's go to input, default, actions, and let's create a new action here. So right click, go to input and input action. I will name this IA interact, something like this. And now we need to add this on the input mapping context. So let's go to the default folder here. Let's open the IMC default, so the input mapping context default. Let's open this, and here we need to add the new action. So to do this, let's go to mappings here. Let's click on this plus icon, and in this new one, let's add the IA interact, and for the key I will put E. So just click on this keyboard here and press the key you want. So for me is E on the keyboard like this, and there we go. Let's save this and close, and now we just need to implement this input. So I will do this in the BP main character, so in the character that you are using as your player, so this one for me, right? So let's go to the event graph, and here somewhere, maybe here, let's implement this. So right click and type IA interact. So let's get this one, the enhanced action events, this IA interact here. Let's get this one, and from the completed we need to call this interact function in the BPC interaction component. So let's go back to the character here, and let's get a reference to the BPC interaction here. So just drag this into the graph like this, and from this reference we can call the interact function. So just drag and call interact. So we need to call this one, the call function interact. So just click on this, connect the execution pin from the completed, this one, in this, and there we go. This is basically the interaction that we need to do. So let's just select this node and comment interacting like this. And there we go. Basically, when we press the E key, we are calling this interaction function that calls the interact function on the interactable actor. So basically on the thing that we are trying to interact with. So now we just need to implement this interact function in the BPI interactable interface. We just need to implement this on each collectible item. So let's do this now. Okay, so to do this, let's go back to the folders, and now let's go to blueprints and interactables. And as you can see here, we have the BPM collectible. So this is the parent class for all the collectible items. And if we open the collectibles folder, we have all the collectibles items that we have in the game. So we have the apple, banana, shield, and sword. So basically I need to implement this on each of these items. But because we have a parent class, it's better for us to implement on this parent class, because of course everything that is a child of this BPM collectible needs to be collectible. So makes sense that we implement on this class here. So let's open the BPM collectibles. Let's open this. And as you can see, because we have the interactable interface here, we have all the functions. So we have the interact function and get interaction message. So now we need to implement this interact function here, this event actually. So just double click on this to create the event. So now we have the event here. So basically whatever we put here will happen when we interact with the item. And remember that we are in the collectible class, in the BPM collectible class. So basically this is the item. So we are in the item right now, in the item reference. So we need to collect this item. So let's start implementing this. So basically we need to put this item on the inventory. So we need to call the add item to inventory in the player. So first we need to get the player, and we can get this by simply typing. So right click and type get player character. So we can get this reference, and because we are using interfaces, we don't need to do any casting here. So from this we can call the add item to inventory interface that we created. So just drag and type add item to inventory, this one in the BPI player. Let's get this one and connect the execution pin like this. So first we need the item ID to add. And as you may remember, here in the BPM collectible class, we have the item info variable that is a data table row handle. This is the type of this variable. So here is the item ID that we want. So let's drag a reference to this in the graph. You can do this by holding Ctrl on the keyboard and dragging the variable. So you have this get node, and now you just need to right click on this pin and click on split struct pin like this. So we have the data table that we are using in this variable and the row name. So basically the item ID is the row name. So we just need to connect this here in the item ID like this. So now we need the amount to add. So to do this, I will actually create a new variable here. So here in variables, let's add a new one, and I will name this amount like this. Of course, this needs to be an integer. So let's change this to integer. Let me compile here so we can change the default value. And by default, I will put 1 here. So each item will have the amount of 1. Let me compile and save. And now we just need to get a reference to this variable and connect here in the amount to add. And there we go. This will basically add this item in the inventory. So now we need to know if all the items was added or not, so we can delete this item from the world. We need to basically destroy this if we collect this, right? And to do this, we have the items added. So we need to do something with this. So first I need to decrement this amount from the items added. So let me show you what I mean. Let's get a reference to this amount here. like this, and from this let's type minus, so we have a subtract node like this, and let's connect the items added like this. So basically I need to know if all the items was collected, because imagine that this is like a bag of apples, for example, and we have 5 apples on this bag. I need to know if all the apples was collected or not, because if only 2 apples was collected, I need this amount to be like 3 on the next time, you know, if we try to collect this again. So that's why I'm doing this. So now I need to know if this is equal, less or equal than 0. So to do this, let's drag from this result here and type less equal like this, choose 0. So in the second pin here, just put 0. Of course, this is a boolean, so let's connect in a branch like this, and let's connect the execution pin here. So basically, if this is true, that means that all the items was collected and we need to destroy this. So from the true here, let's drag and type destroy actor. So we need to destroy this actor, and again remember that we are in the master blueprint for the collectible. So basically this is the item, so the target is self like this, right? But if this is false, if this branch is false, that means that not all the item was collected, and we need to subtract the amount here, this amount. And of course we already did this in this variable here, we just need to set the new value. So let's hold Alt on the keyboard and drag this amount variable like this. So we created a set node. Let's connect from the false here, and for the new value is this one, this result here. Let's connect here. Let me add a reroute like this. To add this reroute, you just need to double click on the line. And there we go. This is basically the function. It is simple, but if you have any questions on this, feel free to ask in the comments, because I hope you can understand this, but I'm not sure, of course. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask and I'll try to help you out. But basically, this is it. Now let's compile and save, and let's see if this is working. Okay, so to test this, let's go back to the map here, third-person map, and let's hit play to see if this is working. So let me increase the screen, and you can increase the viewport by pressing F11 on the keyboard. And to hit play, just press Alt-P on the keyboard like this. So as you can see, if I press tab on the keyboard, the inventory is empty. As you can see, we have all the slots here, but the inventory is empty. But now we can go to an item, and as you can see, we have the message in the upper part, E to collect shield. And now if I press E on the keyboard, there we go. The item disappears, and if I open the inventory, we have the item in the inventory, as you can see. So I can do the same for the sword here. As you can see, we have the sword in the inventory. If I collect the apple, we have the apple on the inventory, and the same thing for the banana, as you can see. So everything is working. Now we can collect all the items, but to test this, let's duplicate these items so we can test the other functionalities. So let me just duplicate here, and to do this, you just need to hold Alt on the keyboard and drag like this, and you basically duplicate the item. Let me do the same for the banana here, like this. Let's do the same for the shield, so maybe like this. And of course, same thing for the sword. So let me put more here, like this. And let's hit play again so we can test. So basically the shield and the sword is not stackable. So each time that I collect this should go to a new empty slot, right? But the apple and the banana is stackable, so this needs to go to the same slot. So let's test this. Let's get the sword. There we go. As you can see, it is in an empty slot with 1. And if I get another one, there we go. This goes to a new empty slot because the sword is not stackable. And the same thing should happen to the shield. So let's get one here. There we go, in an empty slot. And a new one. There we go, again in a new slot, because it's not stackable. But if I get the apple, this should stack in the same slot. So let's get one. As you can see, we have one here in this slot, but if I get another one, there we go. It is only in one slot, but now we have two in this slot. If I get one more, 3, one more, 4, and one more, 5. And of course, the same for the banana. So let's get all here so we can see. And there we go. Now we have 5 bananas on the same slot. So basically the system knows which item is stackable and which one are not stackable. So there we go. Basically this is it. Now we can collect items. And this is basically it for this video. We can finally collect all the items that we put in the word, as you can see, and depending if the item is stackable or not, this is going to a new empty slot, as you can see here. So the system is working. So there we go. Now we can add items in the inventory. And in the next video, we're going to start creating the drop functionality, because of course we need to drop these items in the world, because this is a common functionality in inventory systems. So of course we need to do this here as well. So we're going to start this in the next video. So if you do like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe so you don't lose any new content. And as always, thank you for watching, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next video.